stuck out here in space, and it's almost time for horoscopes would turn to the stars. Now I'll never know what my future holds in store. Time for horoscopes would turn to the stars.
Hi, I'm Andrea Klim, and you're watching Turn to the Stars, and today the topic of the show is going to be the full moon in Leo that's coming on January 28th, and I'm going to be doing a full horoscope for each one of the 12 signs, so stay tuned. So as we move forward, Leo, the full moon is going to be at 9 degrees of Leo on January 28th. And Leo is the sign that's very much associated with the sun. The sun is the ruling planet, although it is a luminary, but for purposes of today's show, we're going to call it a planet. So the sun is the ruling planet of Leo. And Leo is very vibrant. And you know that song, A Star is Born? Well, I think that's a movie. Wait a minute. But there's also a song by Stevie Wonder, which is there's a place in the sun where there's room for everyone and where there's hope for everyone. I think that's how the words go. But Leo is that sign that's associated with the bright, sunny sides of each and every one of us. What we're recognized for, what we're noticed for, how we express ourselves. So when you have a full moon, it illuminates a particular area of your life, and with Leo, this is going to be a very fiery full moon, and full moons do bring a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling, and this one will bring a lot of expression, and a lot of heartfelt expressions will be noticed through this full moon. And the best thing that I wanted to talk about that's associated with this energy of this full moon is that it is helping us because of where it's configured in the chart that is for the full moon, the universal chart. It is configured in a square to Mars and Uranus in Taurus. Squares are not easy. They show us area where there's lots of growth that's happening, and this is for all of humanity, all of Earth. And so this full moon in Leo is going to be squaring, almost exact, squaring Mars, squaring Uranus. So there's going to be a lot of emotional upsets, meaning almost like, you know, when I think about Uranus and Mars, Mars is, references our movement, our activities, our desires, our humanness. And Uranus is explosions, it's earthquakes. So with this full moon really illuminating the challenges that we're facing here at this time, I would encourage everyone to be very careful about your emotional expressions, because squares say to us, slow down, take it slow. And with a Leo full moon, it is easily and innately very easy to go over the top with our emotional expressions. And with the sun in opposition to this full moon, which is when we see a full moon, when the sun and the moon are always in opposite signs. So the sun is in Aquarius at 9 degrees, and the moon is at 9 degrees in Leo. Now the sun, which is our life force, our spirit, is closely hugged by Jupiter in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius. When I say hugged, I mean that they are sharing energy. So Jupiter magnifies wherever it is, and it's in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of unitedness, which is a sign of friendship. It is a sign of that reminds us that we're all one, but it is a fixed sign, so there's a strength that is connected with this energy. So it's magnifying the light of the sun for all of humanity, reminding us that we are all one, that none of us is different than the other. And on the other side is Saturn, and Saturn is quite the opposite of Jupiter. Saturn is the planet that exemplifies restriction, responsibility. So I think the message here is that for us to take responsibility for our piece in the whole. And this full moon is really going to be illuminating a lot of mirrors in our life, a lot of reflections. We're going to decide who we're meant to connect with and who we're not, who we're meant to separate from. And a good friend of mine said to me a couple of years ago, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And I've had a lot of trouble with that because I don't want to believe any darkness. I only want to believe the light side. So that's something to be really aware of. Are you seeing things through are you seeing things clearly? And I think that's a lot of what this full moon is telling us, or its message is to take a look at, listen to your heart. Our minds can fool us because our mind, the filter of our minds is quite different than the filter of our hearts. Our heart is never going to fool us or not tell us the truth. And when you have a fixed T-square, which is what is happening on this full moon, and as we approach this full moon, you're going to see this energy grow wider, vaster, and much more pronounced. And so I would caution everyone to be very aware of your surroundings, be very aware of who is around you, and how you express your feelings, how you respond, how you physically take action during this time. So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the first sign of the zodiac. And I do want to say real quick before I move on from this that currently Neptune is just beginning to pass a very strong square to the north node of the moon in Gemini and the south node of the moon in Sagittarius. This means that there is a lot of confusion. There's a lot of, I would say, almost like illusions that it's almost like a cloak over our eyes of what the truth is. And this full moon is going to be illuminating a lot of things from the past, which is going to usher us, each and every one of us, to look at what the truth truly is. And so Sagittarius is the truth teller. It's ruled by Jupiter. So there's a very strong energy here surrounding this full moon energy of what the truth is. It's almost like a door is open for us to get a very good, clear look at what that truth is for each and every one of us. And I do want to encourage everyone that's watching the show, to share this with your friends, with your families, because at this time, any knowledge, any information, which is the North Node in Gemini, is going to help us. It's going to help us to understand. I mean, Gemini is all about knowledge, information, gathering that, because that's sort of like our food, and that's what's going to give us fulfillment right now. But we're meant to clear up these past things that we have not understood, and these patterns that we've repeated over and over and over again. This is what this full moon is going to illuminate for each and every one of us. And so I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the horoscope for each one of the signs, starting with Aries. But before I do that, I want to just say that the best place for each and every one of us, which is the message of Aquarius, is that we're all together, is that we are no different than each other. And the Leo full moon can really also illuminate the negative side of that, can be our egos and our need to control. Leo, in the most negative sense, is a controller. I have to be the most important. I have to be right. In a positive sense, there's this big-hearted energy of just really shining our lights, our spirit, toward whatever is best for the whole, not just for one. So from the very negative standpoint, you might see people acting out really from their ego because they want to be in control and they want to be the only one noticed. That's not what this whole period in history that we are living through right now is about. So fill your heart with that spirit of that beautiful light that's being illuminated by this full moon, that's being reflected on the moon by the sun in Aquarius. And I think that's the very best advice I can give you at this time. And be very careful about things that you feel are untrue. And if someone is telling you something and your body's not telling you that's the truth, or there are other indicators that this is not the truth, that's the time to just say thank you very much and walk on. Because people have a choice, we have free will. And a fixed T-square like it's being formed with this full moon is very, very powerful in bringing us the areas of knowledge, of information, of insight, of intuition that helps us to change those old patterns. So we're not making the same choices, we're not making the same decisions that we would have before. So I'm going to go ahead now and move on to, before I do that, I'm actually going to pull a card for everyone. I'm also a shamanic practitioner of the healing arts of shamanism. And so I'm going to pull a card which is all around this full moon for all of humanity. And let's see what we get with that. Okay, so the animal card, the animal message that is associated with this full moon, and this is a message for all of the world, for everyone, is the condor. And the message is, as you can see, the condor is flying very high, and this is a huge bird, a very powerful bird. And the picture is surrounded by purple, which is very much associated with our crown chakra and our spirituality, meaning our spiritual connection, which every one of us has a spirit. So we're all alive because there's a spirit alive inside of us. So the spirit is very, very beautiful around this whole picture. And so that means that we're all very protected by some very powerful elements of spirit right now. And also the green means that there is a lot of abundance that we're all flying through right now. And abundance doesn't come through money. Abundance comes to each and every one of us when our heart is open and we're giving because we want to give, and we're receiving because we want to receive. So it's not, abundance comes to us very easily when we're doing what we're meant to do, when we're on the path that we're meant to be on, and we're working and listening to our hearts. That's the most important thing. So the condor is very strong on this full moon. And, the vision I'm getting intuitively is that we can soar above the things that we seem to feel that pull us down. We have the power, we have the ability, we have the spirit, we have the support to fly above all this stuff. And so I wanted to really, really accent that we all have the ability to fly above all this difficult, negative stuff that's happening in our lives. And that only way we can do that is by connecting our spirit to the light of Creator. There's a lot of energy for you, Aries, which is very focused around your friends, your community, and your goals and your objectives. And this would mean, though, I think for the Aries, that you're going to come across people on your path that are your friends or you think are your friends, and you're going to realize that maybe I'm doing something the same as I've always done, and suddenly during this full moon there's these illuminations of emotion for you, which are very associated with who you are and what you're meant to realize about yourself in association with your friends. So this full moon is going to be in this part of the chart which illuminates how special you are. And there's also, on this full moon, be very careful about your activities that are associated with anything to do with money, finances. Be very careful in those areas. Take your time. Don't act from emotion. Act from your heart. That's where you're going to have the best guidance and the most fulfillment. And this is a time of paying attention to what you're hearing from your neighbors, from your the people that you collaborate with. There's a lot of great information out there right now that is very helpful to you, and you're going to find the most fulfillment from listening to that information. Listening and really paying attention to what you hear and what that looks like from both sides. So Aries, I'm going to pick a card for you, which is very much the animal cards, which is a message from nature. In nature, I'm going to remind you all that if there's an animal that passes crosses your path, that's an important message for you. Nature carries wisdom. And so if there's an animal that crosses your path, do a Google search. Shamanism, shamanism, spiritual meaning of, and put whatever animal that is that's crossed your path, because that happened for a reason. There's no mistakes in life. And so the card that's associated for Aries for this full moon is platypus. And the message associated with the platypus is stop complaining and focus your attention on the blessings in your life. So to do something every day that identifies all the wonderful things in your life and all the things that you have versus what you don't have is going to be very, very helpful for you. So the platypus, you can see, he actually is surrounded by abundance, and there's a lot of emotion that's around you. So identify what you do have, all the things that you do have, whether it's material, emotional, relationships. Identify all those wonderful things, because I think that you're going to realize that you're very surrounded with lots of wonderful, beautiful things that sometimes we go so fast that we forget. So I'm going to move on now to Taurus. Taurus, the horoscope for you for this full moon coming up on the 28th. This is actually, let's see here. The focus for you on this full moon is your career, what you're doing out in the world, your reputation, how others see you. And I think that you're sort of divided between your family and your work, your career. And this may be a time of great change for you, and it's almost like a huge wake-up call. What am I doing? Where am I putting my energy? What is it that I'm putting my vital energy into? And listen to your family, because there's lots of great insight that's going to be provided by them, but also listen to your spirit of what's best for everybody here. What am I doing every day that makes me feel good, or am I doing the right thing? That may be a question that you're asking yourself. Do I need to make a change because this is not my dream? And for you, you're going to feel the best when you're following your dreams. What's the hobbies that you've had your whole life that you have not done anything about, and that's what you like to do? So if you're not liking what you're doing out there in the world, if you're not liking what your job is, if you're not liking what your career is, if you're not liking what your responsibilities are or what you've been responsible for, this is the time that you're going to be illuminated with what it is that you need to change in your life. So I would say that it's really a huge gift what's happening on this full moon for you. So I'm going to go ahead and pull an animal message for you, Taurus rising. That means the Taurus ascendant. And that card, that message for you is the zebra. Let go of your fear and know that you're safe and protected at all times. And you can see, fear is oftentimes false evidence appearing real, but to you, you're really, whatever it is that's coming up that is bringing fear into your life, is, for you, that's very real. However, could this be that it's an old pattern, an old ghost? So, the zebra has stripes. And so there's a level of, I look at the white as being illumination, and the black as maybe being the fears. And all the orange around it means that there might be even anger that's coming up for you. And so pay attention to what that is, because, when we start to, anger is actually, at the root of anger is fear. So these two things are very closely related. So I pay close attention to that in your life. And look, the whole outside of this is there is a lot of abundance around you, Taurus. And so don't let your fears block you from the path that you're meant to go on. Don't let your fears block you from going after what it is that you love so much. And this full moon is definitely going to illuminate that for you. So now moving on to Gemini. And so on this full moon on January 28th, Gemini, the horoscope for you for the next, the next couple weeks, what's being illuminated by this full moon is what you believe in, your spirituality, your level of understanding. Maybe it's other cultures, other belief systems. There's something really beautiful happening on this full moon for you. And so I would ask you to take sort of like a ledger of what it is that you believe in, what it is that you understand, what it is that you want to learn more about, how you can be more connected to everybody as a whole. And I'm a Gemini, and this is a great message for me because that's exactly what's happening in my life. I'm going back to my people, my tribe, so to speak, and that's going to be happening in February. So this full moon, though, is bringing a lot, it's illuminating your mind and your feelings, and tell yourself, here's something you could do if you're Gemini or Gemini rising. Put your left hand over your heart and your right hand over it and say, I'm worth it. What I have to say is important. What I believe in is important. And so the spirit around your belief systems and even maybe who your tribe is and what that looks like is really important. And as I said before, you're going to find the most fulfillment by gathering information, talking to people who can illuminate you with their knowledge as well as you illuminate them with your knowledge. You might even make a vision board of what it is that you're hoping to achieve this next couple weeks and what it is that's being illuminated or the light is shined on in your life, because that's what this full moon is meant to do. That's the message of this full moon for you. Now, the animal card associated with this full moon for you, Gemini, is, let me just shuffle up my cards here, and the humpback whale. And the message is music is essential to your healing and well-being, whether singing, playing an instrument, or listening. And if you look at this picture, you see the humpback whale is swimming through green, which is abundance, which is nature, which is a lot of support for the journey that you're on right now. And it's swimming toward the purple, which is spirituality. And Gemini, you're a air sign. And you're also an intellectual, and you're also a socialite, and you're somebody who is very affected by your environment. So make sure you're putting yourself in a really positive environment. If that isn't the case, take a walk on down the road. That's my best advice to you, because it's really important that you surround yourself by positivity. That's where the enlightenment is going to come for you. So moving on to the next sign of the zodiac, which is Cancer. So if you're a Cancer sun sign, a Cancer ascendant, Cancer rising sign in your birth chart, and if you don't know this, you can always contact me, Andrea, at Turn to the Stars, and we can take a look, set up a time to talk about your birth chart. It's extremely insightful. So going on to Cancer now. Cancer, on this full moon, what's going to be highlighted in your life is your money and your feelings and your emotions around the abundance that is in your life. So there's a lot of emotion on this full moon for you, Cancer or Cancer rising sign, around your money, your materials, your belongings. And there is also a lot of energy around change in your life. There's some type of huge transformation happening here. If you're a Cancer rising sign or Cancer sun sign, please take a look at your portfolio, where your investments are, where your your insurances. Take a look at all of that. Where are you invested? This is the time to change. Very, very important. The sun is opposite the moon and they are in the money houses. The 8th house is where the sun is in this chart for you, and that means that rules over life and death experiences. This is a huge time of waking up to your sense of security, where your money's invested, your health insurance, your mortgage, anything that has to do where your money is put. You're going to, I would say that this is a really good time for you to listen to your heart and pay attention to what's being illuminated. If I were you, I would move on this right away, because this is a huge wake-up call for you. So the card that's very much associated, the animal card or the animal message for you, Cancer. And Cancer, you know that security is very important to you. The security of your home, your family, and what that looks like. So Cancer, security is very, very important. So the animal card associated, or the message for you, is the chameleon. And the chameleon, the message here is stay in the background and adapt to the situation rather than being conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events. So I take a look at that message intuitively. For me, means that whatever it is that you need to change in your life, don't make a big deal about it. Recognize it, embrace it, and then be like a chameleon, quietly, adapt to your atmosphere, but don't raise any big warning signs. Just do what you've got to do. And so whatever this full moon illuminates for you surrounding money or your investments, this is the time where you're going to want to look at what action to take, what it is that you need to change, what groups you're associated with, and what your goals are, and what it is that you hope to achieve, because what's happening here in the United States is not very safe or secure at this time. None of us, we're all feeling this crazy, crazy energy. It's not that we're crazy, it's just that we're being affected by these crazy situations that are on our path. So if you look at this picture, Cancer, you're a very sensitive person. You're a water sign. So there's lots of emotion that's surrounding anything that's going on or being illuminated on this full moon. But rest assured that you see the framework of this picture is green, which is abundance. So there's a lot of abundance on the outside, but there's a lot of emotions that you're feeling around this full moon. So this is a powerful message for you. And the next sign that we're going to talk about now is Leo. And yeah, this full moon is in Leo. It doesn't mean that it's going to be any different for you. What I would say that is the most important message for you at this time, what's being illuminated, is you personally and who you are and what you care about and what you feel is special to you. And there is a lot of healing happening for you right now. The key to healing is to take a look at what you believe in, what it is that you understand and you know about. That is very, 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 very positive. And there's a lot of energy around personal relationships, business relationships, but it also can be unseen enemies. So this is a huge wake-up call to who it is that you're allowing to be in your inner circle, meaning personally connected to. And be very careful about the information that you take in, because not all of it is going to be the truth. This is a time of waking up to your actions, what you need to change in the world, the relationships that surround you, and your personal feelings and emotions that are very important, because you are very important. Virgo, the full moon in Leo, what that's going to illuminate for you in your life is the things that you've kept buried inside, the things that you've kept secret, or maybe the secrets that you don't really want to recognize. They're going to be illuminated on this full moon. And I would say that there's going to be opportunities for you as far as your career and as far as what you're thinking about doing out in the world that are going to become really, really important. So there's going to be some opportunities based upon the things that you've buried deep down inside, whether that be feelings, emotions, or things attached to your family that you haven't wanted to recognize. Those are the things that are going to be highlighted for you. It's really deep down inside the things that are important for you to become more aware of, and they will be illuminated by this full moon. It's like, I see this intuitively as you taking that the universe or the moon is shining this big light on this very big, wide place where you've put things, where you've buried things that they felt like, this is the safest place for them. But this full moon is going to bring them up, and it's with a good reason. And that reason would be for you to recognize the need for what you need to change in your life that's associated with your health, that's associated with your work, that's associated where you, sort of process things, because Virgo is a processor. You're the one that takes things, breaks them down, analyzes them to see where they fit. So a lot of energy here around your day-to-day work and the people that you're associated with, what your responsibilities are, what the truth is. And also, I'd say that there's going to be some areas where you're going to find that you're recognized for all the work that you've been doing and how the world sees you. So that's really important on this full moon. That's what's being illuminated. And also, I'm going to, there's an animal card, an animal message that's associated with this full moon for you, and that is the snow leopard. So on this full moon, take some time out of your usual life and spend it in solitude, meaning in meditation, in prayer, walking in nature. And you can see this picture. The snow leopard has got 2 feet up on a rock, and it's overseeing things. It's like taking an account of what it's seeing in its path. So this is a time for digestion for you. And also, you can see the green and the blue, so there's a lot of emotion here, but you've got your feet on firm ground. You can see the ground here, the rock, that's a signature of having your feet on solid ground, but you're stepping forward. So there might be something that you're stepping toward, and there's a lot of spiritual support, there's abundance that's supporting you, and there's a lot of emotion, but there's also solid ground that you're stepping toward. That's really important for you around this full moon. So now we're going to move on to Libra. Libra sun sign or Libra ascendant. What's going to be illuminated for you on this full moon on January 28th is your friends, your community, your awareness of who they are, who recognizes you and treats you and accepts you for who you are, and also those who are, I'm just getting this message, maybe there's certain people that are using you for your value, and it's not a genuine, so that's not a genuine friend. A genuine friend is somebody who walks beside you and recognizes you and notices you for your heart and for what you bring to the table and what they bring to the table. There's always an equal balance. There should always be an equal balance in that area. And where you're, I think that the things that you've created, the things that you put your own personal stamp on, I think that's really important for you to be aware of. And you know what's also that I want to tell everyone about is that we are heading into Mercury retrograde very soon. So we're in the foreshadow of that. So everything that's happening between now and the end of the month just past this full moon is all really important because it's areas where we're going to be reviewing, researching. Mercury retrograde is a time of respite, and that's going to last till the middle of February. Mercury rules our thoughts, our ideas, our decision making, our logic, our reason, also mechanical things. So and Mercury is in the 5th house of the chart for you on this full moon. That means that think about what it is that you have created, that you've put your own personal stamp on, and how is there a strategy? I would say to think of a strategy of how you want to look at this during Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is really a blessing in disguise. I know it's frustrating. I don't really like to drive backwards, even though I've gotten pretty good at it. But when Mercury's retrograde, it's like we have to go back. We have to review things that have already happened, and it's with good reason. Ancient astrologers would tell a story that when Mercury is retrograde, it's a time of mental respite. And when the sun meets up with Mercury, which is around the first week of February, when the sun is the spirit, Mercury is the mind, that's a time of aha. If you want to know more about this, you can contact me, because it's really important to know where Mercury retrograde is happening in your chart. So this is really a time where there's lots of gifts that are coming your way, and you may be being recognized and noticed for things that you have created. But Mercury retrograde is saying, slow down, take some time to review, revisit, and you'll be very happy that you did. And so the direction that you should be focused on this full moon and what's illuminated is your education, what your level of understanding is. Maybe there's something that you need to research a little more, and that's kind of the message that's showing up in this chart all the way around. And so the animal message or animal card that's associated with Libra ascendant, Libra sun sign, is the message on this full moon is the spider. Wow. Trust the creative spark you're feeling and express it through writing stories that inspire and enlighten. And so, I'm getting the messages, be careful, look at the webs that you've already weaved and these things that you've created. What is it that you're hoping to catch? And there's a lot of abundance that surrounds you. There's also a lot of earthly support and nature around you. So I would say there's abundance around the things that you've created. So take a look at your web, the things that you've created, the things you've designed, and during Mercury retrograde, do a review. And you're going to find that there's a lot of insight that comes to you during the Mercury retrograde. So we're going to move on now to the next sign of the zodiac, which is Scorpio. And Scorpio sun sign or Scorpio rising sign, what's being illuminated for you on this full moon is how you feel about what you do as your work every day. Are you being recognized? Are you being noticed? Is there something that is coming up with this full moon that's showing you, maybe I need to make a change here, and maybe I need to have my focus more on my family and what's best for my family, what's best for me. And I think that you're going to become aware of who is not supportive of you as far as business relationships, and maybe even become aware of who's not your friend, that is maybe like a hidden enemy. So I think that's going to come up big time around this full moon. And I would say that there is some knowledge and some information that's coming from your tribe, from your family, from your home environment, from the people that you walk with, the people that support you and are there, and that you feel united with, that you feel protected by, that you feel safe around. For me, I know that's my friends. My friends are who make me feel safe and secure. And so for Scorpio, this is a huge message for you. And let's see what the animal card is, or the animal message is for you around this full moon and what's being illuminated. And the full moon is the full peak of light And after the full moon, like the next day, the 29th, the 30th, moving into February till we have the new moon on the 11th of February, this is a time where we call the light of the moon is waning, meaning we've already had the full picture of illumination. But now what do we do with that? You know, how do we, you know, like they use that word waning. What is it that we're going to do with that insight? So Scorpio, the message, the animal message for you is the penguin. The period of darkness that you've been experiencing is now passing. And, you know, you're surrounded by spirit, you're surrounded by insight, and you're looking, you know, in this, you can see that the penguin is looking to, kind of looking up, but also looking out. So it's looking forward, beyond where they're at. And, you know, there's a lot of creativity in your life at this time, Scorpio. And, you know, what I'm getting on this intuitively is that to pay attention to the things that are decaying, that are rotting, that no longer serve you in this life. And those things will be illuminated by this full moon. And so look toward the light and leave those things behind. I always say when I do ghost clearings or land clearings or home clearings where, you know, there's trapped spirits and we call them ghosts or souls, that we need to identify what's wrong, what's holding them here, or what is that emotion? Is there something that there's a regret? So for you, Scorpio, identify what that piece is so that you can release it, let go of it, because now is the time for you to step into that time of transformation. You're already in the transformation, and based upon this picture, you're looking toward what's next. And I always see this kind of like a funnel, when you put water down a funnel and say there's a piece of food or something stuck on that funnel, and it holds on, and it holds on until it's forced to go down the drain. And there's a lot of that going on in the world right now. People are holding on to what was. And this full moon is very, very, it's so packed with emotion and insight. So listen to your heart. What is it that you need to let go of so that you can continue to move forward? And so the next horoscope for Sagittarius and Sagittarius sun sign, Sagittarius ascendant is the lunar, this full moon in Leo. And it actually for you it's very powerful. The 28th and the 29th, very, very powerful. But what's being illuminated is your belief systems, the things that you believe in. And those probably are the things that you feel a creative spark around. And I think that the most important thing for you to do is to pay attention to what you're thinking about, your thoughts, your ideas. This is a time of strategy being unfolded for you in your life of what's next. And I would say that whatever thoughts, whatever ideas you're having at this time, you're being enlightened by what it is that you need to change, what it is that is where your actions should be focused on. And so, you know, everyone out there, this is not a really positive, easy full moon energy. We're going to see a lot of people acting out. And so keep the faith. That's my message to you, Sagittarius. Keep the faith and allow faith to support you also. And so the animal card that is surrounding Sagittarius, Sagittarius rise or Sagittarius sun sign, is the tiger. Wow. Wow, the tiger. So the message is you're being called upon to provide leadership, so trust that you're capable of doing so. So, you know, you can see the tiger is looking right at you in this picture, Sagittarius. And it's stepping very slowly, very carefully, and it is surrounded by abundance, meaning supportive energy. And that's the green. Also creativity, and there's a lot of emotion also that's way on the outside. And so what is it that you truly believe in is what's going to be highlighted in your life. And you want to be following your heart, and you also want to listen to what other people have to say that they believe in, because it's going to help you to discern what's best for you. This is a great time of change, and there's actually some really great support in your work and your day-to-day life and the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's a very enlightening time. So now we're moving on to Capricorn. Capricorn sun sign, Capricorn on the ascendant. And Capricorn, the message for you, what's being enlightened, what's being highlighted in your life is your feelings and emotions and the things that you feel that are, maybe there's some old things from the past that are very associated around this full moon, meaning that you're being enlightened by things that you've done in the past that are now different. It's like, you know, maybe 20 years ago, 19 years ago, you had started something, and this time the same thing is coming up for you. However, it's different. You don't have sort of like all that baggage that's attached to what it is that you're feeling, you know, enlightened by. Actually, this is, pay attention to what your feelings are, because the feelings that come up around this full moon for you are going to be very, very lighted, very, very enlightening, very supportive. There's a lot of opportunity for you. So I would say to you, whatever it is that you feel that speaks to your heart, go for it. This is the change that you need. And there's a lot of abundance also that's being brought to light here. So this is a time of thinking about where you fit in your community. What is that value? What is that worth? And there's also change that's being asked of you around this full moon, around your home, your family, where you live, your roots. So, and I'd say that the most important thing for you to do is look at your health and your well-being, and whatever information you can gather around this time is going to be very, very supportive. There's actually a diamond showing up in this chart for you, meaning that there's a lot of really, if you look into a diamond, you see facets of light, facets of beauty. Let's see what the animal card for Capricorn, the animal card is the rattlesnake. Very, very powerful, and it means that you have a lot of power. And so don't be scared of your power. This is a time to shed your skin from those past ghosts, those past memories, those past feelings, because you're not in that same place anymore. And the message here is that experiences that you're presently going through are an initiation into fulfilling your purpose as a healer. So, you know, you look at the picture here, the rattlesnake is surrounded by sun and brightness, and the purple is spiritual support. And way on the outside is brown and orange, which is creativity. It's also earthly abundance. There's something happening on this full moon. There's enlightenment that's coming your way that is really special. So this is a great, really great full moon for you, Capricorn. And Aquarius. Aquarius sun sign, Aquarius rising sign. What's being illuminated for you at this time of this full moon is your personal relationships. And, you know, this is kind of interesting because there's a fixed square that's being formed here for you. And that means that there's something really heavy that you've been carrying around for a long time that's associated with relationships. And it's not your truth. Maybe it's somebody else's truth. Maybe you're bending over backwards to please somebody else, and this is not the time to be doing that. And this full moon is going to be very enlightening for you. Do these people that you're closely associated with honor you? Do they treat you with respect? Do they treat you with wanting to hear what you have to say versus trying to squelch you or put limitations on you. This is a time for you to be that rebel, for you to break free from those relationships that are not supportive of you on your path. And there is an opportunity that's showing up, and what's being illuminated on this full moon is your creative expression. It's really important what you have to say and what your thoughts are and the knowledge that you've gained along the way. This is a time for you to be heard. If somebody's not listening to you, walk on. That's what I would say to you, because I think that there's some things inside of you that you're about ready to combust with. And pay attention to what that is. And there's a lot of things that are positively on your path right now, which is doors are opening for you. So whatever this full moon is illuminating for you around relationships, pay very close attention. It's really important. And also there's some things around the past that you've believed in that are also going to be surfacing around this time. And so it could be a little bit confusing. So also I would recommend that you pay attention to the Mercury retrograde, because it's going to be in your sign Aquarius. And so that's starting around the end of the month, and it's going to end around the middle of February. This is a time where you're being given the knowledge that you need to move forward. So pay close attention. The animal card, the animal message for you, Aquarius, is Blue Heron. Make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And that really goes right along with the message of the full moon in Leo. You know, Leo is your opposite sign. And so as an Aquarius, typically Aquarians are, in a very positive sense, are very humble. There's a lot of humility attached to the Aquarius sun. And they're also someone that typically will do what's best for everybody. Very strategic sign. So, the message is here is make a stand for what you believe in and do what feels right in spite of any judgment or disapproval from others. And you can see that the blue heron is standing here with its feet in this blue-purple color, which is emotion, and there's a lot of emotion that you're standing in right now. But you are surrounded by a lot of light and a lot of vibrance, and you're also, you're surrounded by the green, which is, there's a lot of abundance around you, there's a lot of value, and way on the outside is the orange and the brown. So that means that on the outside there's this really protective energy, which is almost like hot. If you get close to a fire and you get too close, you're going to get burnt. So there is that protective energy around you, there's abundance around you, and there's a lot of light that is just wanting you to hold it right now and bring that into your heart. So Aquarius, Heron, and I would say that relationships and those who love you and show that to you genuinely, those are the people you want to keep in your life. Last sign of the zodiac is Pisces. Pisces sun sign, Pisces rising sign. And this full moon illuminates your health, your day-to-day life, the work that you're doing in service to the world. And it also, I'm getting a picture of little animals, the little animals that you're surrounded by. And there's a lot of, I would say that there's a lot of support there, and that you're very connected to the little creatures of the earth. And I think, though, that to pay very close attention to the things that are inside you that you've sort of put on your agenda. Okay, this is something I believe in, but I've packed it away, and perhaps this is the time for you to go take a look at that box. I'm getting a picture of Pandora's box, and I think you've sorted through a lot of the things in Pandora's box, and now is the time for you to recognize what it is that no longer serves you. Those, and there's, it's really interesting. There's angel wings on this chart. If you see right here, I call this angel wings, and that means that there's 4 very powerful angels that are surrounding you at this time. And I think that one of the most powerful messages is that you're not a victim. This is a time where you're realizing the areas that you've suffered, and that this is a time of stepping out of that and realizing how strong you are. And to look at what good boundaries are. There's a great book out by Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend called Boundaries. It's a great book to learn about boundaries, and I think it would be very helpful for you at this time as you move through this time. And just to know that you're surrounded by some really helpful, powerful archangels, such as Archangel Michael, Archangel Cameo, Archangel Jophiel, and I'm not really sure, I can't recall right now the angel that's associated with Sagittarius. I'll have to take a look at that. But there, you know, whatever's coming up that is being illuminated, you know, in your day-to-day life, that is where there's a source of abundance or security or materials. There's certain things at this time that, you know, the picture I'm getting is pay attention to what your psychic or spiritual guidance is telling you, because it's more powerful than anything to feel loved and supported and recognized and noticed. And there's changes on your path right now, but know that you're supported. Know that you have lots of support around you. The polar bear. I love the polar bear. Stand up for yourself and speak your truth respectfully and compassionately with no attachment to outcome. And so pretty much that speaks to what I was speaking about before, boundaries. Stand up for yourself. Don't allow anybody to step on you. Look to the stars. Look to the sky for guidance, to the spirit for guidance. And know that there's a lot of abundance around you. There's a lot of spiritual support. And, you know, Pisces is one of the most emotional signs of the zodiac because it's the last sign, water sign of the zodiac. So it's kind of the collector of all the other signs. And so there's a vast amount of emotion and empathy, compassion. But you know what? If you're not okay, the world around you is not going to be okay. So that's my message to you. So everyone, I want to say thank you for all your support. Thank you to Dino for producing the show today. And I wish you all an abundance of spirit and heart and creativity to surround you at this time. And remember, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. And remember, the song that I talked about in the very beginning, which was by Stevie Wonder, There's a Place in the Sun Where There's Hope for Everyone. So you might want to put that song on and listen to the lyrics of it, because it's very supportive for us all at this time. So take good care. I'll see you next time in 2 weeks with the 12 horoscopes for the new moon in Aquarius on February 11th. I'll see you then.